Yeah, so if I can just teach the average guy, then that just does it for me. So I'm selfish in my numbers too. It tells you how to operate within this infrastructure that's available to us, which no one teaches you.
It's a game, right?
Everything's a game. So global GDP is going up. That's a monstrous number, by the way. If you want to Google what the debt of each country is, trillion. So global GDP is increasing consistently. They will pump so they can control, they can be a key player in the industry. They will pump money and pump money. So what happens is the VC might say, okay, you know what? The financial industry, everyone is a participant in the financial industry, whether you like it or you don't.
Vincent, Mr. V Champagne in the house. How are you doing, sir? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good. Thank you for having me on the podcast, and just here today to talk about wealth, help people, a bit about myself. So Vincent, V Champagne on social media. So I started off as a corporate lawyer, and then I worked in private wealth, and then from private wealth, I became a private investor, and then now I'm building an institution called Wealth University, which is out on the 14th of May, 2023, launching, and it's helping people improve their relationship with money and wealth. So that's it today, and at the end of this discussion today, your listeners and your viewers at home, you would have learned something. So I want everybody to be fine.
100%. A bit of a different one today. I'm in London, not in Dubai. I came out. I had to kind of sweat the water out of my hair and all that stuff. I'm telling you one thing: in Dubai, you don't have to do that. Within 3 seconds outside, the water's evaporating. You're done.
Come down to the messy weather, so it's crazy. But
no,
yeah,
I thought we'd link up and just have a little chat. Obviously, a really interesting profile coming from. I mean, obviously, I'm going to let you talk, but coming from corporate law, mergers and acquisitions, now a private investor, started Wealth University. Let's take it back. Let's start from your humble beginnings in corporate law. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, perfect. I'll tell you. So yeah, out to your viewers at home, I hope you're feeling special. Just want to say that. I want everyone feeling special. My job really is to motivate everyone. So say back from humble beginnings. But before I go back to humble beginnings, I really want people to understand that I had someone the other day, like a really young person, and he said to me he wants to get into finance. So I really want to address this to your viewers. And I asked him why, and he said, well, he wants to get into investment banking. And he said he doesn't really know much about the stock market. He's not really too interested in finance, and basically he wants to do it for the money. So then I said to him, and I thought about it, and I said to him that, and to everyone else, is that the financial industry, everyone is a participant in the financial industry, whether you like it or you don't. So for example, if you have a credit card, you are a participant in the financial industry.
You got your skin in the game.
If you have a mortgage, you are a participant in the financial industry. If you are a student and you have a student loan, you are a participant in the financial industry.
Right.
So people need to understand that everyone is a participant in the financial industry, and they need to understand how the industry works. So what I said to him is that you already are a participant in the financial industry. What do you want to know about the industry? Because the problem is that when we talk about finance, people make it sound complicated, but really it is really, really simple. So I just wanted to express that to him, express it to the viewers that you are part of this industry, and the industry is not as difficult as you think it is as well. So for example, the reason why I say it's very important is you have a lot of people saying that they trade Forex. And the problem is in the Western world, if we look at the finance industry, one of the biggest infrastructures is the pensions infrastructure. Now, if we look at the pensions infrastructure, in the Western world, it has failed. And I'm going to give you the reason why. The whole point of having pensions is to be able to retire when you're ready to retire. So for boomers and Gen X's, Millennials are not ready. They've still got 20, 30 years. If they wanted to retire...
We've still got a bit of time.
we've still got a bit of time. If they wanted to retire,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be able to retire now. Look at the cost of living and everything else. And now if you look at the pensions, so the average pension in the UK is around £35,000. The average pension in the US is between 60 and between 40 and 60,000 pounds. I'm not sure what it is in Dubai, but it would probably average between 45 to 50,000 pounds. Now in Asia is a bit different. So when we're talking about different countries and infrastructure, so for example, Singapore, do you know what the average pension in Singapore is?
I have no idea. I know it's expensive out there though.
Is it? So it's around £350,000
Wow.
per year. Obviously, Singapore, there is reasons for it being expensive. So if we think about it now, the average pensioner, £30,000 a year, they cannot retire. So the system's failed. And the problem is that Gen X and boomers, they're now desperate. And now they're desperate. So they need something to do to be able to retire. So one thing is, now we have an industry, specifically, when I'm talking about trading, we have an industry that is being built, an infrastructure that's being built for these Gen X or boomers to think they can retire. So they think the stock market is one way. Industry's actually being built. So when we talk about the finance industry, we need to know the key players. So any industry you go into, you should do, I'll call it an industry evaluation. So the industry evaluation is, for any market you go into, you just need to look at who are the winners, who are the key players, who are the people losing, and how do you operate within that infrastructure.
Right.
So the problem is that now we have desperate Gen X boomers, they need to retire. So they now need to think they need to invest and work and trade in the stock market. Now, for example, the industry is built for, and I'm going to give this, no one ever talks about this, but I'm going to give an insight is into how it works. So the brokerage side of the business, these are the exchanges. For example, we have exchanges first. The person that owns the exchange, there's three companies. You have the International Exchange, which is in New York. There's a Chicago Exchange, and we've got the New York Stock Exchange. Three companies own that. So there's a monopoly in that system already. If they wanted to manipulate the markets, they could. But let's not go with the exchanges. Let's say the exchanges are okay.
Right.
Okay, now we've got the brokerage side of the business. Now, the brokerage side of the business, they need cash flow, intensity for cash flow. And there was something called a contract for difference. It was banned at least 10 years ago. It was banned in Singapore. And the thing is that this infrastructure is not necessarily built for your benefit. So I'll give you an example. With these brokerage, they need people on the platform because they have cash flow, they have targets that they need to achieve. Every single month, they need someone on this platform. Right. So what would happen to get you on this platform? This is why they say 90% of traders lose money, is they need you to blow up. It's just cash flow.
Right.
The other 10% of traders
designed that way.
So the other 10%, they're going to make money continuously, but they need someone on this platform. So what they would do is, they know that people are desperate. They'll give you the information that you can trade on your phone. I wouldn't advise anyone to trade on their phone. So they give you this information. So every month, they need to get you onto this platform. So how do they get you onto this platform? Now, we've got Forex. We've got these charlatan fake traders, and what they will do is they need to get you on. So they're going to sell you whatever story that they can. Maybe they're a whiz kid. Maybe they'll give you a YouTube sensational story, apparently. And they have a contract with these exchanges. And whoever they bring onto the platform, they get a percentage of that contract.
All right. So it's somewhat rigged then, that way. Maybe rigged is a bit too strong.
I wouldn't say it's rigged. I would say research. My point is, and this is my point.
Know what you do before you get in,
please, but not just that, because it's being built that way. So what my point is that they need you to get on because they know you're going to blow up, and then they have to replace you every single month. This is why we have loads of things like Forex, we have loads of these other things. Some of influencers, I won't even say their names. There's a big influencer the other day who was for crypto. Okay, so they need the hype. That's to get you onto this platform. When you blow up, they need someone else the next month, next month.
So they need that. Okay, perfect. Let's go back to your corporate law days, right? Tell us a bit about what that was like. Going into that industry, maybe the novelties of some of the deals that you did. Anything interesting there?
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to my corporate days, but this is really important to understand because it relates.
Tell me.
So they need someone to blow up, basically. Yeah. So the problem we have now is when I say understand infrastructure, corporate law works is an advantage why it works. I'm going to tell you how everything works.
Right.
So we have capital markets. You need to understand. Everyone needs to understand the infrastructure before. That's why I say you have to know how to operate in the infrastructure. Wealth University teaches you how to do that. So we have capital markets. So the price for capital is interest. Capital markets is capital, and you have labor. Two of those form an enterprise. The price of capital is interest. The price of labor is whatever labor is willing to work for. If labor wants too much of the share of the market, capital leaves. So you would see that where banks, they'll move. If there's any problems with labor laws, what happens with the banks? What happened with Brexit? They move to Ireland. Capital will always leave if there is problems in terms of regulation. So this is that makes an enterprise. And then on the other hand, we have investors. And when I say the investors, we have institutions. Institutions on this side. Institutions, then we have corporations. The institutions will invest in the corporations because they need to raise money on the stock exchanges. So they're investors. So that is where the big money is. Then on the other side, we have the retail money. Now, with institutions and funds, I've worked with loads of property funds. They all work together. They all look at each other's strategy, and they have a portfolio which they're going to trade. So I need to really establish this because after this conversation, people need to really understand how it works. So, for example, if you look at Goldman Sachs, for example, one of the investment banks, very successful.
I interviewed with them a long time ago. I was out in Fleet Street. I was like, what am I doing here? Didn't get in.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Thankfully.
Okay, no, not just that, because, Goldman Sachs. So, for example, I'm going to break it down. With Goldman Sachs, the investment bank, they have one side is client, which is putting orders in for clients. So one side is people want to buy, if you want to, say you want to buy some shares in a company, you go to Goldman, they put it in through the exchange. That's what the trader does. So 90% of a trader's job at Goldman Sachs, any of these in investment banks, I'm sticking with investment bank because hedge funds are different. I'm going to go break down hedge funds in a second. They're 90% of the time or the job is they're putting orders in. They get commission on every single order on the exchange from the institutions. The other 10% is the traders trading the investors' money, the shareholders' money, sorry. That 10% is what they have to make up so they make their profits. For example, and you can go and look at Goldman Sachs' annual report. Every year, they publish an annual report, and they're usually profitable. We've got 365 days in a year. They're usually profitable between 230 and 300 days a year. Goldman Sachs. I work with a hedge fund manager. He was profitable around 250 days a year. He's got a hedge fund, manages 100 billion. So out of the other 65, 50 days a year, they're not profitable. And they're trading different, they have portfolios trading different asset classes, and they want their strategy is to trade forever and to continuously make money forever. Institutions is to continuously make money forever. So if they can make money 200 days, let's say 250 days a year, and they lose money, let's say about 100 days in a year, how is the average Forex guy telling me that he can make money 300 days a year just trading Forex? And another example I want to say is that if you only trade one asset class Forex, you're an imbecile. Because how can you rely on trading one asset class? And the reason why I want to say that is because if you look for a trader, volatility is the most important thing. You
need that, otherwise you don't make money.
You're a slave to volatility as a trader. So if we look at the exchange markets, they don't really move. They're not as volatile generally all the time because
Unless you're in crypto.
we'll get onto crypto. But they're not really as volatile.
Right. Okay.
Even crypto is volatile, but it's not. Market things happen every couple of months. Something happens. So if you think you're going to sit on your computer every day, buy Europe, the dollar against the pound, and it's going to move, and you're going to make money that way, when it doesn't really move that much, this is why I say it's not being built for your benefit. So they all work together. They make, and a lot of the funds, for average fund, they will make about 10 or 12%, and they're mandated. So they have a mandate of 12%, and if they don't make that quarter, they're not up in that quarter, they have to leave it. So they are mandated to how much risk they can take. So I'm going to go back to corporate law. So now we have the institutions here. We have now we have the big four accounting firms. Now they represent, and then we have the top law firms. They represent the big money. So if you're in a big law firm, big four, you want to get to a big law firm, what are the requirements to get into these firms? I'm asking the average person.
First of all, you need to go to a top uni.
Thank you.
That's
okay, that's one. Top uni, you have to go through 3 stages to get the job. You're going to come out.
Minimum. Again, I worked for one of the big four very briefly, and it wasn't 4 stages. We had to do. Just
3.
It was years ago now, but we had to do like a test. And that's not just one test. It's psychometrics, right? So you go through like an English one, what's the other one? Logical reasoning. They give you these little pictures, and you have to put them all together. A maths one, that's one, and then you have to go to a telephone interview. You have to do this,
Okay.
and then you go through an assessment center,
Okay.
which is all of that again
Okay.
to make sure that you didn't cheat, but it's in person.
Okay.
Right. So it's a bunch of different. It's not easy to get in.
So you're going to get the best graduates from around the world working at these places effectively.
Basically.
So if they've got the best graduates, right? Big money, the best of the best. And then you're going to tell me that some average person can just go on YouTube and then trade and be a millionaire. No, I'm just saying.
You hate these traders.
No, I don't hate them. I don't hate them. I just have to. I really have to understand how the market works. So this is why finance is key. Finance it affects everyone. What's going on at the moment affects everyone. Cost of living, inflation, everything else. So going back to it. So to get in, you have to go through that process. So for me, how it started with me with my journey is I studied law at university, and it's very important that my university students, that you have a mentor and you speak to somebody you need to find someone that's done something that you want to do, and they can give you the tips of what you should or what you shouldn't do. So for me, I'm not the average guy. I need people to understand this. My mentality is crazy because for me, I want you to remove as much privilege as I could when I become successful, because I didn't want people to say it's because he went to this uni. I didn't want people to say because he went to this school. I didn't want people to say because of his parents. So I removed every single privilege. So I went private. I was in private school. I told my mom I want to go to public school. I need to feel the real world. I don't want the silver spoon. So I literally went private half the time, went public, and then went to a reasonable Catholic school, good school anyway. Okay, then I went to university. Applied for Oxford. I got into Oxford, by the way. Went to the open day. It just wasn't for me. I've already went to private school. Looked at but most people will take the opportunity. But I said, I'm not gonna get there through Oxford. So I know, and the reason why I can build Wealth University, because I have done it from scratch. So being self-made, I've took every privilege out. So I went to Staffordshire University. I went there, I looked at them, I said, it's okay. It was a good vibe for me, I went. But now I have to work double time harder because obviously my school still helps, but I didn't go to a top university. So I want to put that out there. So for me, I said I need to learn the game. I don't know. I thought I wanted to be a barrister at first. This is why I say experience is important. So I done mini pupilages. You do something for free. You do volunteer and you work for free. I worked for free. I want people to know that. When I worked for free, I had a mentor and he was a reasonable barrister. This was in Stoke, Staffordshire, Stoke-on-Trent. I volunteered for Manchester Chambers, but I'm going to give you the Stoke-on-Trent because that was the most important information I learned. And I worked with this guy who's a barrister. Obviously, he's made his money. And he asked me a question. He said, oh, so what? What do you want to do? I said, I just want to be successful. I want to make money. And he just laughed. And he was like, but be specific. So I said, oh, well, I want to be a barrister. You know, you might as well make a lot of money. So then he said to me, he said, oh, but there's a million ways to make £1 million. The legal field is just one of them. And if you want my truth, the game that you want, my game 10 years ago, it was, and this is when legal aid was coming in. See, I had the information. This is why I say it's important to get the information when you know. So he told me, well, if I could go back, I remember one of my friends, he was a corporate M&A lawyer. Oh, I wish I went back. Yeah, so basically, he said to me that the industry's changed. Legal aid is gone. He remembered that he had a lawyer, he was an M&A person. And he said that. So he was like, why don't you just, I remember him, he said, what's your purpose? Do you want to be a criminal barrister? If you wanted to be, what's your purpose? Like, because you're not going to make much money. You're gonna get the prestige, but most of them, either do you come from a background where your family can support you and help you and do that, and you get the title and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, but that's just a waste of space. Why would I want to do that? So he said, well, it's up to you. But I would have went into becoming a corporate M&A lawyer. And then he told me, I'll message him, had a chat with him, had a conversation with him, and he said, yeah, you know, it's quite tough, but you know, you apply and try. And then one thing he said to me, and I need to say this to people, life is just a game. And he said this to me. And I said,
he said
this to me, and I'm going to tell you why.
The barrister.
Yes.
Right.
And he asked me, what grade do you want to get? I said, I want to get a first. I had a module, I went to get a first on the module. See, I'm just trying really hard. He goes, he said to me, but life's a game. Have you told your lecturer that you want to get a first? And I said, no, I'm just going to work really hard. And he said, no, but your lecturer doesn't know you want a first. So when he marks these assignments, or he doesn't know, but if you know what you want and communicate it to him, he can't tell you how to do it, but he can help you.
That's an interesting one.
So
never thought about that.
So he said, you need to communicate. It's a relationship.
Right.
Do they know who you are? Like, what do you do? Like, are you just, you're just a random number. You're a student number, which is random. How do your lecturers know you? You don't want to be a random number. So I said, yeah. I said, you know what? That's so right. So I said, next time, talk to your lecturer. So I spoke to my lecturer.
Okay.
I got my lecturer a Christmas gift. All of my lecturers, they know who I am. No, but I speak to them.
Have dinner with them. I like that.
No, but I have a relationship.
That's what I would have done.
With my lecturers.
Right.
I had a relationship. And I got the first. There's only 2 people got the first. There was a Canadian student got the first. Genius. And just me and him that got the first. And I spoke to him. I said, you don't have to ask. But I said, look, this is my assignment. I want to get a first. I'm not something about that. What do you think about this? And they can say, oh, maybe that paragraph, that they can give you.
At least they can guide you. Yeah.
And my point is guidance. So he said, life's a game. He said, I played the game 10 years ago, but the game's changed. So the legal, if you want to litigate, the game's changed. So you figure out another way, maybe M&A. Okay, I spoke to him, M&A guy said, yeah, it's really hard. It's changed a bit, but you know, yeah, you can play that. You can play that game. So when I say life's a game, when you go to work, it's a game. Everybody in the office is there because of money. And you might have office relationships, but when you leave a firm, how many of them do you talk to again? So it's a game. You're just there for the purpose of money. You do build relationships. Some people, I have got some good relationships with people, but sometimes you're just there because you got the 9 to 5, you've got to work. And that's the game. So everything is a game. So why I say corporate is a game. there's a corporate game that you have to play. People don't even know the corporate game. But I spoke to a mentor. They said, look, first one in, first one out. It's an impression. How do you wear a suit? How do you dress? How do you present yourself? When you speak to clients, why do you think that they make lawyers and bankers and that wear suits? It's just an impression because it's favorable to a client. It makes you, wearing a suit is a uniform. There's a certain, when you see a politician wears a suit. It's a program where the guys in suits. When you go to court, you have to wear a suit. If a fireman goes to see you, he wears a uniform, so you can identify in the image, oh, that's a fireman. When you think of a doctor, what comes into your head?
What do you think about the kind of the traditions as far as maybe, you know, the way you dress in the corporate world or whatever it is, or in let's say the working world are starting to change now, right? We're seeing a lot of that, especially in certain industries like tech, for example. And that is slowly migrating. I'll give you an example, right? When I worked at PwC all those years ago, I remember I spoke to a partner at the time and he said to me, Sami, PwC's changed a lot from what it used to be just 5-10 years ago. What do you mean by that? He said, I would never be caught without a tie.
Of course.
That's what he told me. But at the time when I worked there, no one wore a tie. Everyone had a suit, had an open shirt, right? Unless it's a client meeting, you would see, in fact, in our office, we used to have like a section of just ties that used to just kind of hang. And he used to say to me, well, you would never see that before. Everyone would have a tie. And I said, well, why is that? He says, just attitudes are changing. And also some clients, if you go in with a suit, with a tie, it's almost like too formal. So you have to kind of be adaptable to the industry you're in. But what do you think about that? Maybe dress codes lessening, especially in certain industries.
Well, tech's different because tech has always, if you look at Steve Jobs and all of the tech guys, they dressed.
It's always been kind of casual.
They set the trend. That's tech. However, if I'm going to represent you in court and I'm coming I'll meet you and I'm wearing a wife beater, are you going to take me serious?
You did not just say that.
Or
what about, what's his name? Who's
Vest, sorry.
Who's the CEO of Goldman? Is it Lloyd Blankfein or something like that? What if he came in with a grey T-shirt like Mark Zuckerberg
But
next
he's Lloyd
week?
But he's Lloyd. But he's. You think the difference is, he's the CEO.
So do you think he'll be trendsetting then? Do you think everyone else in Goldman Sachs will be coming in?
No. Because the thing is, he's a CEO. It doesn't matter. But you're trying to start. So I always say, people say, but Steve Jobs wore. But he's Steve Jobs. Are you Steve Jobs? I'm asking people. I'm asking the graduate. Are you Steve Jobs? What have you done? That's my point. So you're trying to. I always say you're trying to put your best foot forward. So I'm not trying to say we have an impression. When I was at work, I was a smart guy. Like, I was the smart guy. I had the best suits. I was just a guy. And clients would say that. And it's a program. Even when I dress down, I've already got an image that I'm the smart guy anyway. So it's a program. So what I'm saying is that, I'm not saying that I would say you have to have a uniform. So I say this is why different workplaces have different cultures. That's why they say understand the culture. You work in Goldman Sachs, they have a culture. If you go to JP Morgan, there's a different culture. If you go to Citi, so you have to find what their culture is and you blend into that culture. That's the point. So it's not to say dressed to impress, but what's the culture? You need to, and people are like people that are similar to them. As much as people don't want to say it, people actually look at, it's
human nature.
It's human nature. So you want to reflect. So sometimes when someone says, I'm finding it really hard, but I'm like, you have to blend. And you're there. We need to understand that you're going to work for a career and a purpose. That's why you're going to work, and for money, effectively. But you're going for a career and a purpose. And you want to fast track and get up as soon as possible. So for me, with work, I'm the first one in, and I'm the last one out. I used to work 7 days a week at PwC. My performance, I looked at my email the other day. They showed my overtime hours. My overtime hours was 132 hours overtime. I was working 7 days a week. Like literally.
That's even more important when you're starting out, because you need, like you said, you need to make that impression. A lot of people don't have that, especially kind of, younger people. If I've got cousins. I've got many kind of younger cousins, and they're always asking me, Sami, how do I do this? How do I do that? And old school kind of, timeless tips. You need to be there first. You need to be out of there last. You need to show how hard you can work. That's the basic fundamental thing. It doesn't matter that, you may not be the smartest. It's great if you're smart, but there's always going to be someone smarter than you. But working hard is the number one thing the number one tip that I'd give to anyone.
And also, it's relationships.
That's number two.
Because your manager might not like you. And people don't discuss this. And if you don't go to work, like for example, most business is done on work drinks, just to let people know. I used to go to partners drinks. I wasn't even the partner. I used to go to partners drinks because I had a good relationship with them. And you have to, and what's important for relationships for me is that when you're doing transactions, for example, when I used to work with my clients, and I want to use private wealth as a better example, because PwC, you're client facing, but you're solving their problem. You don't really get that interaction because they're coming to you for a service because you have and the reason why relationships is important is you can have a Russian billionaire and he might not be able to get his kid into a school in a certain part of London because you don't have any relationship. So sometimes it's not about how much money you got, it's your relationship. So they will go to a law firm, they might go to a property management service that has that relationship. So a lot of them come to PwC because PwC has the relationship. If you need to raise money, they've got all the clients. We've got a relationship with Goldman Sachs, we've got relationship institutions. So clients don't just come to us they come to us because we have that relationship. For the intros. Or we have that relationship. If you're represented by PwC, you're represented by people look at representation. Yeah. If they see you're represented by that person, especially with legals, some people will give you suits just to see if they can test the waters with you. So if they see, oh, he's represented by this person, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. So that's another thing. So relationships is really important.
Key. So it's important to, be at those work drinks, even if you don't drink. Just be there, be present. You understand? Because working hard is one thing. There's never going to be a substitute for that. But at the same time, be with people, outside of that work environment. Right, we're gonna have to take it to that corporate stuff now. Yeah, tell us a bit more about that. What were you doing? Tell us a bit about some of the deals.
Some of the deals. So first, I'll give you a good example. Is I started, and CMC Capital Markets IPO'd them for 100 million, and I'm gonna give this story. Yeah, this is how they give you responsibility.
IPO. What's an IPO? I know what that is, but not everyone does.
Okay, initial public offering.
Right. What does that mean?
So basically, when a business needs money from an investor,
right,
they basically go and float it on the stock exchange, and then they can exit, and investors give them a load amount of money, but they have to stay on the business for 2 to 3 years, and that's the way to raise a lot of capital. So that's one of the biggest exit strategies. You want to raise money, but you need a lot of money. An IPO is one way of doing it. You can do it another way. So that's what an IPO is. So CMC Capital Markets. This is my first week. Go with the partner. Lovely lady, and she said, "Oh, we meet the client." I said, "Oh, this is me." Introduce who I am. I said, "Oh yeah," and the guy was, "Oh, I was thinking of doing an IPO." She's like, "Yeah, Vincent's expert can handle that." I'm like, I don't even know what. I'm a guy at the meeting. I don't even know what fucking IPO is. I don't know what an IPO is, but PwC there's a library. She said, "Oh, there's someone else as an expert." Good thing there's an expert everywhere. Just talk to that person. She said, "Go and talk to her over there. She's an expert in restructuring. We can cross sell it. Go talk to her. Find out about and then next week we'll have a meeting. I'll come on a call." She didn't come on a call with me, by the way. She's busy. So I was just, just talk to her.
Nothing big.
But I went and I researched. Okay, what's an IPO? You got Google. Blah blah blah. Watch some videos. I talked to someone else. I said, okay, how do we do it? Go to the archives. She showed me different things that they've done in the past. Yeah. All it is the same thing, the same process. So then, okay, this is it. So I done my work, showed it to her. She's like, oh yeah, that's good. Okay, you can go meet the client next week. I'm going to go meet the client. They've got a legal team. They've got everything. I'm going to do a presentation to them. That's why we're going to handle your IPO. So you're thrown in the deep end, but you're confident. But it's the confidence though. She said, no, I'm confident in you.
It's because she obviously believed in you. She would have just given that work to anybody, right?
Yeah, but it's the enthusiasm. So I say you can do anything once you've got a process and you know what someone else, you can do it. It's like when you're thrown in the deep end, and that's what it is every day. Is problem solving. Life is about just problem solving, And yeah, we done the IPO, and then
How long was that process?
6 months, 6 months to a year. I've done the major process of getting everything over the line, then it goes to somewhere else. So it takes a year. I could say it take about a year to do the IPO. But the whole due diligence process, that's what takes a lot of time.
That's what takes time.
So you got to do what you have to do. You have to do KYC. You have to look at the board of directors. So a lot of the time they want the story. The co-founders, he needed the story. He needed the story. Okay, what he does, he's going to stay on the business. Then you have to look at the shares. You have to go to Goldman, who's representing you. Try and make sure the price is fixed to what they want. So there's a whole process.
There's a whole
you got to do due diligence on the company.
around
You got to do a round where you go to investors. They do a call round where they say this is company's IPOing, and then other people will pitch to represent. So it's a big process. But I learned from doing the IPO. I learned so much, and I was like, oh wow! And this guy's just made this amount of money overnight, and he didn't use none of his own money.
Come on, give us a rough number here.
He probably made about 80 million. One day. Obviously shares.
Not a bad day's work.
Not a bad day's work. But the thing is and another reason which is important, that when you have a public company, you don't have 80 million in the bank. I need people to understand liquidity is different. It just means that you've had 80 million in shares, you can borrow on, and this is why I say everyone's in the financial system. And it's very important to understand how finance actually works. People think that Elon Musk has 300 million pounds in his account. He doesn't have 300 million in his account. He has shares if he needed to raise. And when he bought Twitter, he actually...
Billion, you mean, right?
Yeah, billion. Sorry, billion. Sorry, billion. Yeah, billion. Sorry, yeah, billion.
Come on, don't downgrade.
No, not downgrading.
Don't downgrade Elon like that.
No, billion. But when he bought Twitter, he raised quite a few of the money. He raised it through quite a few of his friends.
Right.
So and
wait, what do they call them? The PayPal mafia, right? Seriously, that's what they call them. What's the other guy? Teal. A bunch of them went and made some really kind of big businesses out of that. So yeah, that's why they call them that.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, why it's important to understand is that you need a certain amount of money to put down. So Elon would have bought Twitter with none of his money. He would have went to a couple of his friends. Can you give me, let's say 300? Let's say I don't know how much they bought Twitter for.
Spare change.
But then let's say you got a billion, you got a billion. Just give us a couple of that. Put it down. We'll raise the rest of the money. We'll give you the shares in it. And also I've delisted the company. So when you take a company, it's called a delisting from public to private. That is a process as well. And the reason why people delist is because they've raised the capital, but when you have a public traded company, there's loads of AIM-listed regulations, there's loads of corporate governance, there's so many things that you have to adhere to regulation. It's quite costly.
Because it's a publicly owned company, right?
Yeah, so what investors usually do is that once they've got and it is okay, they want to go in a different direction, want to take it back to more of a unique business where they can do other things, then they can delist it, pay off the investors, and then everyone's happy. So from that point...
You need to give me some tips there.
At the end of this discussion,
first we need to take it public before we can delist it, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So there's different ways, but that it's just very important to understand how the mechanics of things work,
right?
And then so with me, I was working on the legal side of doing deals. So when a business with M&A, there's always the M&A market is just buying and restructuring. That's it. Buying and restructuring. There's always an investor and there's always someone who's going to exit. So because we're in the tech and we're in this tech bubble, with VCs, venture capitalists, they will throw, like, for example, Uber has only recently started making, they will throw...
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, Uber, it's only started turning a profit recently, right?
But they will pump. So if they want to get a market, let's say Uber's got a really big market share, they will pump so they can be a key player in the industry. They will pump money. So what happens is the VC might say, okay, you know what? We've got this company, it's got loads of, there's the other reasons for Uber, they've got loads of data, they've got loads of users. So we've got this company, we're going to pump so much money in and we're going to get it ticking over. And then when we sell it, we can say this has got this amount of users, it's got this amount of data. Then another investor will invest. Then they will wait, and then another investor will invest. And then they say, okay, we're going to go public in 7 years' time. So those investors that have been losing, once they go public, then all of those investors that pump the company up, they're able to exit. Then we get a bigger institutional investor. So, and that's how there's always a different investor in the market. So with M&A, a lot of the time, a company is either going to merge with a company or they're going to buy another company. So I'm working on the legal due diligence for it. Right. And I always say transactional, you have to understand the whole process. You're working in a team, but the M&A expert, you will talk to the CEO. Because sometimes this might be the CEO's first time doing a merger. And they will come to you to say, okay, this is what we need to do. And then you will say, okay, this is what we need to do. Okay, we need to prepare, do due diligence. We're going to get a valuation from the bank. We're going to do, so I will execute all the loan documents. This is a big process. Banks like to look at, what you learn is that banks like to look at information a certain way. KYC is very important. They'll also look at your board of directors. So sometimes I would say to a company, why don't you get like, if you have a superstar board, you're gonna raise the money.
It's gonna help.
It's gonna help. So for that process, it was doing the legal due diligence, doing the SPH, sales purchase agreement, and talking to the other team and just putting all that together. And then that goes over to you also have an M&A consultant as well that will put the deal together. So I learned a lot from that, and that's when I realized, I'm on the wrong side. I want to be an M&A consultant, because an M&A consultant will look at the business, structure the deal, and then learn to raise the money, and they just take a percentage.
So how did you transition from that corporate world into the M&A side of things? Private
wealth was my opportunity. So what happened with me in terms of relationship, I had a Russian client at the time. I didn't get the seat I wanted at PwC. Relationships, maybe. I got the other seats, but, you know, there might have been a partner that was just hating. I'm just going to say he was hating. So anyway, someone else got the seat. Fair enough. So I was just like, the problem is that when you qualify, if you move to another firm, it's very difficult, because it's good to qualify and stay at that firm, then move, because then you have to do the whole relationship process.
You have to start from scratch, right?
Basically. And so you're either, I got another seat. Either I didn't want to be an employment lawyer or commercial. So no, I'm not, no offense, but I don't want to do that.
Right.
So that was the options. You can do commercial, a little bit of M&A on the side. So I just said, what happened is, it goes back. One thing I did ask my partners, how do I become partner? Like, what do I need to do? No one asked this question. And then he said, oh, well.
It's like going back to that university situation, right? How do I get a first?
Yeah.
What did they say to you?
And he said, well, he was like, well, he said, the game's changed. This is where I left again. So he said, well, back in the day, you would work hard, become a partner. You can just play golf because you get equity in the firm, and then everyone
just learn.
And they just go.
They call it? Learn your handicap.
Yeah, they just go to lunch, and then that's fine. That's what was the procedure back in the day.
Right.
But then they changed it, because obviously we live in a more everyone transaction. So now you become an equity partner, but you will work. You are going to work. You're going to work for your money, effectively. Nothing wrong with that.
No more golf.
No more golf. No, unless other times. So, but then he said the game's changed, where firms aren't really giving equity anymore. They just give you it's called a salaried partner. So you would just get a higher salary, but you won't get equity into the firm. So for me, if you make it to partner and you get an equity share split, you can make a couple million, 2-3 million a year, effectively. That's the incentive of working really hard. But then they would say, I'll make you a salary partner. You get the promotion, but you might make £300,000 to £500,000 a year. Well, you're at your pinnacle of at your pinnacle of your career. So
really, that's how much? Three to five.
Depends on what firm. Maybe 7, 8.
But that's the ceiling right there. You're not going to get any higher than that.
No. Or you can get up to $1 million, but you don't have, the reason why you want an equity in split is because you get performance. The whole firm, in partnership, the whole firm, when it makes money, you get a percentage. Obviously goes to different parts of where your section is. So you can you know, that's a and then there's tax advantages. There's so many advantages, but when you're a salary partner, you're just an employee. You're just salary. You just got the partner title. You're salaried.
I think, do you know what? When I joined PwC, I was in one of the kind of regional offices, and we had this director there. I won't say his name, but he had been in the company for 15 years, 16 years, and everyone, all the associates, including me, were like, why isn't this guy a partner yet? We would see others who'd been there for 8 years, 9 years, 10 years making partner. And that's when we knew it's not all about kind of the time that you put in. It's not just about kind of how hard, because that guy was always in there. I would never see him leave. So okay, there's much more to it than this. Relationships, whatever it is. I don't know why that guy didn't make. He's probably still not a partner. He was a director, and you could see, you know, this guy. Why didn't he just move? Why didn't he just go somewhere else and maybe try at KPMG or something like that? God forbid.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The thing is that, and the transition to partner. So when he asked me the question, he said that, well, you're either going to buy into the firm, so you need a couple 100,000 to buy into the firm. So some people mortgage the house, whatever. Or
so you need to put money down to get equity.
Yep.
Okay.
Or you bring in a billionaire client.
Right.
That's it. So I said to him, if I bring in a billionaire client, I've got negotiations to become partner.
That was your in.
And he's like, yeah, but he was laughing, and I was like, okay, that's not that hard. I thought, okay, and then I thought at the time the Russians were coming, so I was like, who has money in London? The Russians. Where do they stay? Mayfair. Okay, crime. We moved to Mayfair. Now we're starting to build a relationship.
You were circling around Harrods, yeah?
I'm circling everywhere. No, I'm going out. I'm going out there. I used to go out all the time.
Right.
Like, I spend money to get, like, in the places. I always say to people as well, you don't, if you live in London or you live in the city, sometimes I'd say quality is better than quantity. So I always say to people, you need to taste the money before you know the lifestyle. So why don't you stay in a hotel for £800 a night? You might have to save up for a month or whatever. But once you've done that, you'll know what it feels like to stay. And then your brain is going to calculate, how can I get back? How can I get the taste back?
That's an interesting mentality. A few years ago, I met someone who said something very similar. His take on it was he got a house, he got an apartment or a flat. Oh God, you can tell I've been in Dubai for too long. He got a flat in the UK, in London, and he was paying something like 7k a month for it. It was like, I cannot afford this, but I'm gonna force myself to do it until I learn how to afford it. And that was his whole take on everything. He's gonna go and live beyond his means, and his brain, just subconscious or whatever it is, just will learn how to kind of keep up with that. It seems like you believe in that as well.
No, I believe in it. I believe you have to taste it. So I always say to people, like, I'll give you an example. I used to go, obviously I'm okay because my family's reasonable, but I used to spend my money though. And I used to get a chauffeur every weekend. So see, the thing is, right, you want to attract money, but people like people that are similar to them. So I would get a Rolls chauffeur. I would go to this place, one place. I used to go to Bulgari Hotel all the time, actually. I used to go there, smoke cigars, whatever. I used to just go there. I just used to just go there just normal. People see you. It's your first time. They know you're new. And for example, you know when people go out for dinner in nice restaurants, right? Waiters know if you've been there many times. I can tell people on their birthday, and I can tell people it's just normal. It's just a casual dinner. So you can tell that as well. So I would go, and then the Russians are there. I go out. You might party. So I always say, where do you like? I always say, like, if you're around the same people, how are you gonna learn something different? So like, you have access. When I say you live in London, everyone has access. And growing up in the Western world, as much as people say about the system, we need to accept that the system works. The capital system is one of the best systems ever made. And if you want to deny me, and you might get that average hipster that is no. This needs to be serious. That is recycling the Amazon thing that's flown on a plane. You need to understand that this capital system, if we go back 100 years, it was aristocracy and then the kings and queens running society. Now the power is in the consumer. It has raised the living standards in the Western world. You can sit at home on your phone and order some food and it comes directly to you. So your standard of living, even though you might think you're poor, your standard of living, you do most things.
It's unthinkable.
It's unthinkable.
Just 20 years ago.
Just 20 years ago. So with the living standards, so the point I want to make is, what's global GDP this year? Like I'll give you the number. I think it's about 104 trillion. The year before that, it was about, I think it was 94 trillion. And the year before that, it was 84 trillion. So global GDP is going up. That's a monstrous number, by the way. If you want to Google what the debt of each country is, trillion. So global GDP is increasing consistently. And the reason why I say you need to understand finance is people will say you have an opportunity to participate. And my question to you is, if you want to change the system, you're going to have to participate, provide a product, good or service that's superior, that raises the living standards, take that money and then go and use your resources to go and make the change that you want to make. But if you want to sit and you want to protest and you want to have cards and all these other things, the system, you're just saying no. You're just saying no to participate in the system.
I don't want to be involved.
So you have a choice, or it's not, but you get nothing from it. So my point is, you can go to what I would do. I'll go to the restaurant. So I would say to people, just fly business class. Like you've got a curtain. Maybe it might cost you extra £500. Maybe let's say you go Europe. That extra £500, you're gonna get an experience. You're gonna know what it looks like behind the curtain for £500. You might spend that £500 on some, I don't know, on holiday or something. But
a trip to Sainsbury's nowadays.
But I'm just saying, sometimes I say just taste the things that you want. You gotta realize you can go and test drive the car. You might, and the thing what can be,
because it does something to your mind.
It does something to your mind.
It does something to your
and
mind.
Also,
I'm
you
a
don't
big
want
believer
you
in
don't
that.
want to be disappointed because you have people that work their whole life. Let's say they get the business and they sell it and they make their millions, or what, they make 100,000, whatever, and then they go and buy the car.
It's like,
no, but then they drive it and they're like, oh, this is shit. Because they thought you might think you want a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
How do you know? Have you driven one? You see other people drive one. Personally, it's not there's other cars. It's not. It might be for him. It might not be for you. You might like a Rolls. Everyone has the different things. But it doesn't cost anything to test drive the car. It doesn't even cost you anything. But if people are not comfortable going into the dealership, just go into the dealership. Go to a nice place. Go to a nice hotel. Go to a nice shop.
try it out.
You can browse. It doesn't cost you to browse. Why don't you browse? I don't understand.
Window shopper.
But it doesn't. No, it doesn't cost you. People do it all the time, and it's
100%.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Tell us about Wealth University. I'm curious, man.
Okay, so when we said life's a game, for example, corporate's a game. So Wealth University, there's a few modules. So corporate is one. Corporate game.
First of all, what is it? What's
Okay.
Wealth University?
Wealth University is an institution and it helps people improve the relationship with money and wealth. So in the education system, technically, to a degree, has failed too. And the education system is being built. It's an infrastructure. So when we go back, that's why I want to go back to the finance industry. The banks have an infrastructure. And their infrastructure is to lend money. Their infrastructure is, they have the businesses, they have all different corporations. They want you to work. Effective government, what government want really is they want to be in power. They want you to vote. They've got the infrastructure and they want you to work effectively. Entrepreneurship's not really taught in schools because you can't teach it. So they don't teach it. For example, if we want in financial literacy, why don't they teach you how to pay tax in school? Why don't they teach you about credit in school? Why don't they teach you about mortgages in school? Why don't they, like, for example, if you're an accountant, yeah, you don't even learn how to read a financial statement unless you do your professional qualifications. You can go to university studying accounting and finance. Don't even teach how to read the financial statement. So there's education systems failed. So with Wealth University, it teaches you about corporate game. Some people didn't know that. You said that you had some of the young people, they didn't even know this is what you should do. Shot in film with AI, amazing. If I had an institution I could go to, I just thought, instead of me, because I've given people advice, I said, instead of me, I'm just gonna build. I just have to go and build an institution because no one else is gonna do it. I don't know why no one else hasn't done it. So I've worked in private wealth. I know some things. Let me just build this. So now it gives everyone the opportunity now. Like this information is hidden. Like for example, with the wealthy, and we had a discussion the other day. No one knows about a trust. Like if you ask the average person what a trust is, they do not know. And this goes back to, they don't want to teach you these things. So Wealth University teaches you about trust game, teaches you about mindset. Mindset is the most important thing. If you want to take anything from this, is actually mindset. But with mindset, there are different things that have happened to us in our childhood. There's traumas, there's attachment theory, there's something called cybernetics. There's so many different things, and I've worked with psychologists. So if you change someone's mindset, then they're good to go.
They're good to go. Everything else just kind of falls in place.
Everything falls in place. So it gives you all of that, all the fundamentals of wealth. So about business, it teaches about fashion game as well. It teaches about the music, it teaches about everything. So you know how to operate when you get an education, and then you can go and operate. And there's also practical stuff, live practical things as well. So it's not just theory. I believe in theory, but I believe in practical. Then I believe in holding you accountable. There's modules and tasks that you do. So that's what Wealth University is about. It's helping you improve your relationship with money and wealth. I believe that nearly anyone can make six figures if they knew.
Vincent, where can people learn about you and Wealth University? So
you can follow me on TikTok, V Champagne, and Instagram, also V Champagne. And then Wealth University is launching on the 14th of May, 2023. So you can learn once it's being launched. So what I do, and you should follow my TikTok, I actually do videos about mindset, and I have to speak in a soundbite. Because generations change, so I speak in a different soundbite, but it's the same thing, and you learn a lot of stuff, and it's just to motivate you. Most of the things for me, I want to create at least 100,000 people on six figures and at least 10,000 millionaires in my lifetime. That's what I need to do for society, and it's definitely possible. So it's just everything that you need really in one an education which is going to be help you build wealth, help you improve your mindset, and just tells you how to operate within this infrastructure that's available to us, which no one teaches you.
It's a game, right?
Everything's a game. So you want to play the wealth game, just come and play the game. And that's it. And for me, the reason why I built it, because I'm quite arrogant. I think, can I make people make six figures? That boosts my ego. I need to say, how many numbers on the board can I put? How many people can I get in there? And that's why I built, because when I help someone else and they do it, I'm like, yeah, so if I can just teach the average guy, then that just does it for me. So I'm selfish in my numbers too. I want to create these numbers because then for my legacy, I can say, well, what did I do? When I had my kids, I said, what did that? He built an institution to teach people how to build wealth. That goes down in my legacy. So that's the reason why I'll put it together. And you come with me on my journey. I've still got problems. I'm still trying to solve things. But the basic things, the platform's there, the infrastructure's there, and that's everything.
It's all up to the people now.
Yeah.
Vincent, great to have you here, buddy.
Thank you. Very intense conversation, but I had to do the real interview. I could do the thing, but like I say, I'm not bound to anyone. I'm going to do what I want. I'm a free agent, literally.
Great to have you on, man.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you liked it, leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, leave a good review, good rating. And if there is someone else that you'd like me to have a chat with, let me know in the comment section. Again, don't forget to share this. That's how we're going to get the word out there. That's how we're going to build a community around what we're doing here. Follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, all kind of major platforms, and we'll be releasing every week. So stay tuned.